All right, boom. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. Welcome to the Great Minds Drink Alike podcast. And you know who I am. I've got the amazing Mike Stadola here with me, who
Hey, Robin.
One of my favorite people, and also one of my favorite people. It's like Hollywood Squares, depending on how you're looking. The amazing Dr. Nido Qubein, who needs no introduction. I know all of you have seen him. If you know me, you know I'm a huge fan. You know he is the guy that I have said over and over again, I aspire to be more like every day. You know, I have there's behind me, there's this little doll. It's like, you can kind of see it. There's a Jesus doll there. I really need a Nido doll, because I want to ask him, you know how people say, what would Jesus do? I always ask myself, what would Nido do?
Oh, there we go.
I need that. Look at that bobblehead. Why don't I have that? What? See, that's when you know you've made it, when you got a bobblehead.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, that's that. Mike, come on, you're my chief marketing.
I know.
Why don't I have that?
More bobbleheads. Yes.
Order the bobbleheads.
Yep.
Mine will probably come back and it'll look like Nido Qubein. You know, just put red hair on it. You know, they never really look like, you know, who you are. But so yeah, so you guys, many of you out there, you already know Dr. Qubein. I've had him speak at my event, I think at least 3 or 4 times. We've done multiple videos. I've brought my clients go to High Point University as a tour. We constantly have members saying, when are you going back? When are you going to go back? And these are all entrepreneurs, because it is such an inspiring environment, and it's such an amazing accomplishment of what you've done with the university. And entrepreneurs, people who really love excellence and love to be inspired, it doesn't even need a description. You just show up and you're just like, wow is everywhere. And so, you know, super excited. We're actually bringing our October Producers Club meeting
and we're looking forward to you coming here. We have got new restaurants, new hotel, new conference center, new arena. We got it all, just all waiting for you, Robin. You and your friends.
Yeah. So we're going to invade. So will that be the biggest event that you've run there with the new conference center since you opened it?
Oh, you mean when you bring your group?
Yeah.
Anytime you bring a group of 2 or more, it will be our biggest event.
That is not true. How many people, because you did a big opening night, you know, we were there. How many people, because that was like the first time you actually, and you fed people, and it was just an amazing.
In that conference center, of course, we seat about 6,000 in the arena. We seat about 1,500 in the conference center. Our hotel is small. It's meant to be a laboratory for our hospitality and event planning students. Mm-hmm. And it's only 30 rooms, but for you, Robin, I've got the presidential suite awaiting your arrival.
Nice. Does it have wine? I want wine. See, I'm drinking
wine, and I'm going to put you a bubblehead. And
I might not be able to sleep.
I'm going to put you one of these so you don't catch anything. You know, one of these little bottles. I've got you under control.
Well, I don't know if that bobblehead's looking at me. It might make me not sleep well, though. I don't know. I need a bobblehead. All right, Mike's going to work on that. So yeah, so we are live, guys. If you have questions, you know, you can put it in the Q&A below here. I know we're live streaming on other places. Are we live streaming on Facebook and YouTubes and all the other interwebs and stuff like that?
We're definitely on YouTube here. So okay. I don't know if we're on all of them. I think TikTok's your big platform. Yeah, you're really going after.
TikTok's my big platform. That's where all my people hang out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you have to be on the Zoom link in order to obviously post a question, because if you're on YouTube watching us, wherever you're watching, you know, I can't see those. But you know, one of the things I just wanted to, there may be some people who have not heard of you, and that's incredible to me that someone could even be in my world and not know who you are. But you know, when did you come to this country? How old were you when you came to America?
I was 17 years old. I came here to go to college. That was back in the late 60s. And I went to undergrad and grad. And then out of grad school, much like you, Robin, I took all the money I had. I took a big risk. I started a business. And that business did well. That catapulted me into speaking business, which catapulted into consulting business, which catapulted me making a few bucks, which meant in the mid 80s, I started a bank with a couple of guys. And then in the 90s, I got into a lot of real estate. 2000, I bought Great Harvest Bread Company. 2006 or so, I got into Dots, 550 stores around the country. And in the interim, I got into a lot of corporate boards. As you know, I serve on the 5th largest financial institution in the country called Truist now, the amalgamation of BB&T and SunTrust, and Lazy Boy Board and Savista and a bunch of others. But look, I have the greatest admiration for you because you are the American dream personified, and you're the type of person who took an idea and made a vision out of it and surrounded it with a solid strategy, and you always use practical systems, and you execute it like there's no tomorrow. And the result is success, success, success for you and for everyone who's been into your domain. And that's what life is all about, Robin. It's not just what we do, it's why we do what we do, and who do we pull along with us as we do it. And so I think that life is what we make it, right? And there's no such thing as unrealistic dreams, only unrealistic timelines. And the circumstances in which we find ourselves today don't define where we end up. Had my circumstances defined where I was, I would still be there. Instead, I understood that it's the choices we make that define where we end up. And every person you ever meet, I don't care what sector they're in, what business they're in, how old they are, what gender they are, it doesn't matter. Every person who makes right choices, hangs around the right people, understands how to deal with change, somehow, some way, they find success and some meaning. For me, it was following the advice of my mom. You want to be great? Well, hand in hand, side by side with great people. And people watching us right now obviously know something about life and living. They take the time to listen in, not because they don't know what we're talking about, but because successful people know that sometimes we have to be reminded, or we have to take a recess to reassess who we are. Are we doing it the right way? What else can I do? How much more can I do? How many more people can I help? Because you can't succeed in business unless you're helping people. If you help people, they'll move heaven and earth to help you directly, indirectly, consciously, subconsciously. So for me, Robin, as you know, it's been a wonderful journey. I have been blessed beyond my wildest imagination. And then in 2005, my undergraduate alma mater came asking me to be the president. I was going to be the chairman of the board. And reluctantly, honestly, I said, well, I'll do it for a couple of years to fix things up. I fell in love, just like you have fallen in love with what you do and the people you do it with. And so 17 years later, Robin, in my wildest dreams, I never imagined we would be this successful.
It's amazing.
We have done the impossible, because of the principles we followed, the principles you teach, the values you adhere to.
Right. Now, so just to give everybody some, because again, you're very humble. Because it's ridiculous what you've accomplished in your lifetime. You've got to sit there sometimes and think, I don't know how, what is it like to be Nido Qubein? Do you just look around and think everybody's inept or something? No, you don't. But you have just the accomplishments that you've made. Take the bank and Great Harvest Bread and and the bank, that BBT, but now, it just everything you've done, and just the university on its own. When you took it over in 2005, I believe it was at 38 million or somewhere in that, right?
28 in revenues.
Okay.
28 million in revenues. Today, we're sitting close to $500 million.
Right. And that was in 17 years.
Yeah, but we built 108 buildings. We took net assets from 56 million to 1.3 billion. We took enrollment from 1,400 to 6,000, faculty from 100 to 400. But mostly we took the ranking on US News World Report from way down to number one, 10 years running, number one in the category Best College in the South. Princeton Review put us in the top 380 colleges in America. Look, Robin, it's not about being humble. It's about being grateful. It's about being grateful. My heart overflows with gratitude for the friends I have like you, for the opportunity to serve, for the fact that my mind works. It's, you get up in the morning and you go, dear God, thank you for oxygen. And But the reason I don't think of people as being inept or whatever is because I respect every person and I value every relationship. Now, those two are not synonyms. I respect every person because they're created by God Almighty. I cannot judge that person, but I value the relationship. Not every relationship is worthy of a depth of your time or your energy or building blocks cumulatively, right? Some people just have a very, very tiny view of life. I have this big view of life. It has nothing to do with money. People think it's not money. Money comes to those people who have ideas that are productive and that deliver great service and have great value. For me, it's the pursuit of something I believe in and something that I can subscribe to. Money is important, of course, and we have to have enough money to do the things we want to do. But I can't work just for money. I have to work for a reason to live and a reason to serve. And for me, it's all about that. You've heard me say this before, Robin. I invest 1/3 of my time in earning, 1/3 of my time in learning, 1/3 of my time in serving. And people are shocked when I say I go to bed at 9 o'clock at night. I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning. I study for 3 hours every morning. I read every journal in my business. I have books I read. I review reports. You should see my briefcase. I report all these reports that come to me. I read everything. And what I found is the more informed I am, the better decisions I make. The better decisions I make, the more respect I get from my people. And when you get respect from your people, they follow you. They want to partner with you. They want to help you to make things happen. So I don't know something that nobody else knows. It's just that I'm doggedly focused. Focus is more important than intelligence. And I tell people, don't go after 30 things. Go after 3 things, lose yourself into that, and give it all you got. And then watch how the world will sit by and cheer you on. And so, I like you, Robin, I've been very fortunate to have hung around smart people and have done some good things in my life. And I am not done. I am 73, and I know that I will be here for the remaining years of my productive life. I hope those who are looking at us today, listening to us, will accept this in the spirit I offer it. I'm the smartest I've ever been. I don't mean that in a braggadocious way. I mean it in the notion that, there's a stage in your life where all you have is information. If all you have is information, people will use you and discard you. There's a stage in your life when you have knowledge. If all you have is knowledge, people will call upon you only when they need you. Think of a dentist, think of a car mechanic. But if what you have is wisdom, people respect you and they want to be a part of your being. They want to be in your inner circle. They want to be in your circle of influence. And so, Steve Wozniak and I were talking, co-founder of Apple Computer. He's in residence here at High Point. And we were talking about how everybody wants to talk about artificial intelligence. Okay, but there's no such thing as artificial wisdom. You develop that, you evolve that, you nourish that, you nurture that through the relationships you have and the stuff you put in your brain, in your heart, and in your soul. So I'm a student of life and living. I watch people like you with great admiration, what you've been able to do in your life and your business and the people you've helped. And I say, wow, what a blessing that we can do what we do and help other people achieve the things they want to achieve.
True. I appreciate that. And every time I think, I remember you one time saying that when you were younger and starting in business, that you said, I couldn't always afford to hire some of these great people to coach me, but I could always get access to them through their books, through their seminars and so forth like that, and I do think that's really important. I mean, honestly, to pay tribute to you, I'm joking about the Jesus style, but I do mean like there are, I go to myself, what would Nido do? How would he behave in this situation? And, it's interesting. It's like instantly the answer comes to me. It's almost like you have this, space in my mind. Let me ask you this though. Who are the people that have inspired you that like, who's that person in your mind that you go, how would this person handle the situation?
Yeah. So I'm very clear on that. My daddy died when I was 6 years of age. I didn't have a father. Amazon did the story of my life and Biography Channel did the story of my life. They always ask me this question. If you could change one thing in your life, what would it be? Well, I know the answer. I'd much rather have had a dad who read me a book, send me a song, take me to the zoo, take me to the circus, throw me a frisbee. But out of life, something amazing things happen. Out of adversity can emerge abundance. In fact, for me, I'm grateful for my adversity because my adversity strengthened my soul. Well, I mean, Robin, I'm talking to the choir here. You agree with that because you've been through adversity in your life, and you, in spite of it, rose to the top. And so for me, it was my mom. My mom with fourth grade education, left with 5 kids, no money, a dad who had been a gambling dad who just gambled everything away. And she had to learn a new vocation. And she became seamstress and made clothes for people. And I watched this woman, Robin, poor, never said to me, son, we can't afford that. Son, we're not like the Joneses. She would buy chicken on a Monday, and the chicken would be good for 7 days. The first day you just looked at the picture of the chicken. By the end of the week, you just sort of had the aroma from the Tuesday or Wednesday. And by Tuesday, she made a little soup out of it, out of the bones, and a little rice with it. And what I learned is tenacity. What I learned is grit. What I learned is faith. What I learned is courage. You put faith and courage together, you got faithful courage. You get up in the morning and you say, I may not know the answer to that now, but I'll know somebody who has the answer. I'll give it enough time to get to the answer, but the answer is out there somewhere. Someone knows how to go from point A to point B. And I wanted to find out where that is. So first was my mom. My mom was truly great inspiration in my life. Fourth grade education, amazing. But, postgraduate degree in common sense. A second, categorically, Robin, I was always attracted to people who came from nothing and made something big. So, as you know, I'm a member of the Horatio Alger Association of Distinguished Americans. Colin Powell, Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, the owner of Chick-fil-A, Oprah Winfrey, people like that. There are about 280 of us. I'm on the board of directors. And I actually do the MC every year at the event. So those people all came from nothing and built empires. Some of them built empires that just served the world. Some of them built enormous wealth in the billions and billions of dollars. But if you look at all of them collectively, or you looked at each of them individually, you see a pattern. The pattern is as clear as daylight. They all did the following things to get there. So I've learned from those people. I've always wanted people older than me because they have traveled the journey before me. So Robin, when I began speaking, it was Zig Ziglar and Charlie Jarvis and Ken McFarland. I was in my 20s, late 20s, and they were in the late 50s. But I learned so much from the journey of life. And then, of course, I'm always attracted to business people. I wanted to know, how did Kelly King at BB&T go from working as an intern, coming in as a kid, and became the chairman CEO, right? Forget the fact that he made $15 million a year. That's an aside. I wanted to know how, of all the people in the world, the world had 3 billion people in 1955. It had 6 billion in 1999. Now we got 7.5 billion. We're going to 10 billion people. How, of all of these people, why this guy? And I discovered the secrets. I know the secrets because there are no secrets. They're only pure systems. And once you discover the system, here's what else I found out. It can apply to anything. You can do a bank, real estate, retail stores, university. Doesn't matter. Everything I've been involved in, I've applied these systems and they worked. And as I said, money is a byproduct. I'm humbled. Robin, I'm like you. I tithe, double tithe every year. I give 20% of my income to stuff. My family was the lead gift to the arena that you saw. We built a children's museum in our city. Stuff like that. Because I came to this country with nothing,
right?
And I was able to, with the help of God and the grace of others, to build something. So I think we have a duty and a responsibility to rise. William Barclay, the Scottish theologian, said it best: always give without remembering, always receive without forgetting.
Mm-hmm. Now, I hear that, and I agree 100%, but there's I deal with a lot of small business owners, and they're not dummies, and they work hard and they're trying, and yet, they can't seem to get out of their own way. So you're saying there's patterns, there are successful, and they are successful. I wouldn't say they're unsuccessful people. I mean, they're running a business. It's a small business, but they get up in the morning, they're being productive, they're serving others. They're not making millions of dollars. They're not taking a university from 38 million to $500 million, or any business for that matter. I mean, some of them aren't even at $1 million. What do you think it really is? Because we always hear about, focus and hard work, but is there something else to it?
Yes. Well, number one, we should not evaluate ourselves in quantitative manners. The guy who's making $1 million gross in his business is no worse as a human being than a person who's making $100 million a year in this business, right? So in God's eyes, we're all equal one to the other. So we should not devalue our self-worth or evaluate it based on how much money we have or the size of our business. We should value ourselves by our capacity to commit ourselves to whatever it is we're doing. That's really the true valuation. So if we valued ourselves based on money, for example, Robin, how do you explain to a school teacher who goes to college 4, 5, 6 years to become a school teacher? He or she knows they're going to be overworked and underpaid. We're going to say to them they did not accomplish the American dream. That would be foolhardy, right? So, I define success in different ways. So some people, like a big entrepreneur, might define success by the amount of money they have. I have a home in Palm Beach, Florida. A lot of people who have a lot of money. I don't care how successful you are. The guy next to you, he's got 10 times as much money as you have. Some people, like Ted Turner, evaluate their success or define it by building a media empire, like CNN. Hank Aaron defined his success by beating the record of Babe Ruth. Albert Einstein defined his success by beating and unraveling the secrets of the universe. But Mother Teresa defined her success by feeding the hungry and clothing the poor in the back alleys of Calcutta. So it's not our job to define success. So I would say to that person who's a small business person, do not define your success by how much money you make or how much, revenues your business. Define it by your capacity to do your best. So this is what Carol Dweck, who wrote the book Mindset, says. You must have a growth mindset. What does that really mean? That means believe in the art of the possible. That means take the words I can't, put it in a piece of paper, fold it up, put it in a box, wrap it up, go in your backyard, dig a hole, and bury it for all time. That you really have to have in your being this notion that I am enough. And I'm going to be extraordinary exactly where I'm planted. And I'm not going to care about what other people say about me. I need to know that I'm doing the right things and I'm enough, right? So now that's philosophical, right? That's not practical. You still got to get up in the morning and make your payment and all of that. So then I have to develop the skill of creating value. Here's the problem with the value, Robin, is that you ask anybody and they'll say, oh, of course I create value. Well, that's not the way value works. The way value works is it's the difference in value and appreciated value. So I'll give you an example. I drank a Diet Coke today with a sandwich for lunch. I don't like Pepsi Cola, but Pepsi Cola is a big product, great product, big market share. Obviously, there's a lot of value out there, but I have no appreciated value for Pepsi Cola. Therefore, it doesn't matter if Pepsi advertises to me or gives me free stuff. I don't appreciate value for it. The key is to make sure that what we do is appreciated by those who are capable of buying it from us. And our capacity, therefore, to create value and then to interpret the value in ways that the other person can appreciate it, that's where the magic lies, right? And then you remove all the irritants and then you add a little wow to the experience. Most people, like you, I've worked with thousands of small business people over the years. I consulted and coached with many of them. Most of them have a limited view of their capacity. And my job was always to say, wait a minute, why are you thinking of yourself in this small box? Can we draw a bigger box? The question I would always ask is, give me 3 adjectives that people would use to describe you. And I listened very carefully. And almost always these adjectives were limited in their interpretation. I would say, why do you think like that? Or I would say, how can we take this $1 million and make it 2? And we have to find out these clients that you have, what they need and so on. And then the third one is, I don't go to sleep at night every night without asking this question. What did I learn today? I did not know yesterday. So we have to be students. The reason I admire you so much, Robin, is because you've created a platform where these individuals, these smart people, these business people were able to come in, commune with each other, learn from each other, learn from you, and then go do something about it. And then they come back the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year. And that's what it's all about. To be an eternal student, to believe in yourself, to create capacity in your business and in your own abilities, and to always acknowledge that you are enough, that you can make good things happen. Now,
Right.
of course, there are practical, specific systems about marketing yourself and managing your business and all that.
Right. Yeah. And I think that was one of the things that you taught me is don't be transactional in your business. How do you build a company that is transformational? Because transactional, if I'm buying, like my clients, all IT services and IT support, right? So anybody, if your value is I can fix a computer, there's value in that. Like if I can make your computer work, that's great. And there's value in it, but it's still very transactional. It's like, can I get someone to make my toilet work? Can I make, somebody who makes my heating and cooling work? I mean, there's value, absolutely value in that. But to really fall in love with your customer and say, what could I do that would be transformational to their business? And that's really where, I think what you've even done at High Point. And one of the things I want to ask you about is, you really are, one of the things that we talk about for our clients, and I know you talk about, is how do you differentiate? How do you provide value where, everybody's getting this and you offer something that's unique and different and valuable? And I think at High Point, you've done that. I mean, you're a university that, I don't know if it's on my pillow. Wait a minute, I'm looking the wrong way. No, it's not there, but it's God, family, and country.
Turn the pillow, Robin. Turn the other side.
Yes, I knew it was like on the, oh, there you go. I knew it was, I thought I remember seeing it. I was like, I thought it was. So, for a university in today's environment, if you will, and like, I just recently went out there and I went to the parents' weekend and I got to see you speak to the parents, and it was really interesting. You probably won't like my description of it because I said he was reclosing the audience, right? That was but that's me.
No,
I mean, that's all my, interpretation, but it was like, here's what your child, has signed up for, and you're talking to the parents, and standing ovation after standing ovation of these principles of, we're a university that is about God and family and country. And the flag, as you can see, is in the background there. Very proud to be an American and American values. And you mentioned this got a standing ovation is in the sporting events at the university. Nobody takes a knee to, your hand goes over your heart, all those things, right?
Yeah.
And that is radically unique. And you can't argue it. So talk about that, that has become a core principle. You're sort of very, the red dot in a blue, ocean, if you will, or however you want to say
it. The purple cow, as Malcolm Gladwell called it. The purple cow, one of his books. All right. So Robin, you said a lot of stuff and I agree with all of it. So ultimately, the key for all of us is how we position ourselves in an otherwise cluttered marketplace. And what does that mean? Positioning is how people perceive what you can do for them. The most important question in communication is, how must this person feel first? So they will do what I want them to do. You're right. When I spoke to family, I had them laugh 150 times, but I had them cry a few times. And the idea is that I want them to go and advocate this university to the world. And so what is that all about? 3 questions about positioning. If our people are viewing us today, just ask themselves these questions, it will benefit them tremendously. By the way, you're drinking fine wine, probably Opus One, $500 a bottle.
One, baby. You got
How
it.
did I guess that? I guessed
just
it.
for you. I was like, I can't show it with
the glass.
I can't show with $2 Chuck, although I could have put
that's
$2 Chuck in there.
Opus, yes. And me, of course, I'm drinking High Point University water. So who's richer here, ladies and gentlemen? Robin the zillionaire and this immigrant trying to make a go of it.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. First question to ask about positioning. Why should this person do business with me? Giving choices. If you're at a restaurant, Why would someone in Nashville go to your restaurant, given the fact that there are 200 other great restaurants? Why is that? Until we determine the answer to that, we're not ready to do marketing and promotion and advertise. It'll be foolhardy because it will be unfocused and undirected. So for me, I've decided the reason people do business with us at High Point is because when they place their child here and pay a lot of money to send their kid here, and then if you got money as a parent, I want a lot of it, right? So I'm out there raising, I'll divulge to you, I have not said it to anybody here yet. Last month, I raised $100 million from
Wow.
three families
Wow.
who gave me 30-some million dollars each. So there's obviously something right we're doing here. So I want to define, why would they do business with me? Why me? And I just determined that they will do business with us if we are an extension of their home. You spend 17 years teaching your kid these sets of values. Then you place them in a university that's very different than what you believe in. This is malpractice as a parent. So I said, what is it we believe in? We believe in God, family, and country. And I say that every open house, I say, if that bothers you, just know we respect that. But this may not be the school for you. That's one. Two, we're the premier life skills school, where every other school give you all the academic stuff that you want, valuable, important as it is. We go beyond that. And we say, we're going to prepare you for life. So I teach the freshman class, for example. I have an ecosystem here that has 110 different things that we do to make sure that you're prepared for life. So who does that appeal to? It appeals to people like you, Robin, and those who are watching us today, smart people, business people who say, oh my God, I want my kid to be prepared for life. I want him to get off my payroll. So who do I end up attracting? A lot of those kind of people who can then help me become better and better. Question number two, this is really big. How easily can someone else imitate what I do? Because the easier it is for someone else to imitate what you do, your product, your person, your service, all of that, the less valuable you become.
The less you get paid for. Yeah, because as I can get it, now I'm price shopping you because you're
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
I asked Dave Thomas years ago, the founder of Wendy's, I said, I happened to be speaking at Western Kentucky universities together. And I said, tell me this, why is your hamburger square and your bun is round? Innocently, I said, you didn't have a machine that could make buns that are square or and he said, no. He said, when I came in the market, there was Burger King and McDonald's. They sold their hamburgers for 39 cents. The least I could sell my hamburger for and make a penny out of it was 59 cents. How do you enter a market selling a product that's seen as a commodity for 59 cents unless you show the value? So he said, I wanted people to see that the beef in my hamburger is thicker and bigger than the other two. And then you know what happened after that? He came up with this big advertising thing saying, where's the beef?
Mm-hmm.
And so how easily can someone else imitate what you do? The third question, if I were in the marketplace to buy your service, would I think of you first? Would I think of you second? Would I think of you at all? Those are the questions. If a business can identify those questions and strengthen them and build them a house built on rock, they can kill the competitor every day.
Right.
That's not what most people do. What most people do say, I created this pen. It's a great pen. I sell it for this amount. I have the best strategic location. I give you good service. Well, that's not enough because you can get there and lots of places can say that. So I think that's where the magic lies. So in High Point University, go ahead.
I was going to say, so when you were, because one of the things I always talk about is a unique selling proposition. What I find when I'm coaching a business owner, most of the time they sit there and they say, well, they try to look in their business and go, well, what's unique about us, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, that's the wrong way to go about it. One, you've got to decide who you want as a customer. Because one of the quotes you have that you gave to me is, who your customer today is a piece of data, who your customer should be is a piece of strategy. So you got to decide, if you look around and you got a bunch of cheapskates, it's like, I would say, it's like, you have a party and you hate everybody's there. It's like, well, you invited them to the party. You got all these losers showing up. Well, you invited them, right? So decide who your customer is. And then a good, unique selling proposition, a differentiate, it's manufactured. Like you don't have it existing. Because when you started High Point, and this would be the question for you. did you know you wanted to target entrepreneurs? Because that's really, I think, who your customer is, unless I'm mistaken.
Business people, entrepreneurs, yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, high
People who can afford,
performance
people who can afford to pay to come here, yes.
Yeah.
And who can appreciate what we offer.
Okay. And so when you started it, you know, did you have that in mind? Like, that's who we're targeting and this is what we have to build? Or was
I don't know that I had that in mind, but subconsciously, since this was my world,
that's who you
and
are. Right.
yeah, the circle of influence in which I lived, I think was kind of natural to me. So here's what I did know. I knew that we cannot swim in an ocean of sameness because that commoditizes you, your service, your product. I knew that we had to swim in a lake of differentiation. But even then, different doesn't equal better. So I knew that we had to swim in a little pool of distinction. And what makes a product or a company or a person distinctive is that they hone, much like a surgeon through this operating thing, there's a heart surgery through a little tube like this go in and so on, must hone in on you, my client, your fears, your hopes, your goals, your aspirations, because if your needs, because if I can hone in those things, this is virgin territory for me.
Right.
Most of us have never been taught how to do that. We've taught people how to prospect, present, overcome objections, close the sale. Look, I'm guilty. I taught that to millions of people in the late 70s and 80s and 90s. But today I understand it's much deeper than that. So you can be a horizontal thinker, you can be a vertical thinker, or you can be a diagonal thinker, which employs both units in the proper proportion so that the magic is in the mix. And at the end of the day, Robin, you succeeded not because of any one thing, but you succeeded because the magic was in the mix. You did so many things right so that when you screwed up, it didn't matter because you had this much right and this much screw up, right?
You know, I want to just like underscore that because I think people are so afraid to make a move because like one of the questions they'll ask me is, well, what's the campaign I start with? And I'm like, pick any of them because you're going to do them all, like all the strategies, all the things, you know, they're hesitating to make any move because they're afraid to make a wrong move. And I'm like, you should start 20 things knowing that 5 of them are going to work out right. And 5 of them are going to be bad and everything else is going to be mediocre. But so I think that's, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but there's so much value in that. And,
but you know, Robin, what you're talking about is risk. We have been taught to be risk averse. The truth is you take risk out of life, you take opportunity out of life. And so for me, I love risk, but that doesn't mean I'm foolish. Right. I calculate my risk. I make sure I can deal with the worst thing that can happen. I say, I don't mind a risk that stresses me. I just don't want the risk that breaks me. There's a tremendous difference. A risk can stress me. I mean, I'm starting a law school here, a dentistry school here, optometry school here. Every one of those $100 million. Those stress me. I have to find the right dean, the right money, build the right building, worry about, do I get the right cohort to pass these national tests and so on. I just don't want it to break me. I don't want to start a school that if it doesn't work, the whole university comes down. And that is a delicate level of knowledge and expertise. And one way you learn that is from other people.
Well, I think one of the way you learn that is by doing.
Because, by doing, of course. But
you've done it before. So like, even when we launch new things, sometimes I stress my team out because I'm like, okay, we're going in this direction and we're going to do this. And they're like, well, how am I going to do this? What about this? What about that? What about this? And I'm like, they're all valid, but let's get moving in that direction. And we'll kind of like, saying I have all the time is you can't steer a parked car. So you have to like get moving in a direction before you can make decisions. And one of the things I want you to talk about, because I think this was again, something I learned from you, is when making a decision, you ask yourself a couple questions, like what's the worst thing, the best thing? Talk about that a little bit.
All right. So that's my risk management formula, which is, let's say I'm going to buy a building somewhere. I would say, what's the best thing that can happen as a result of that investment? Well, that's easy. The best thing is double, triples in price, and I make a lot of money out of it. So you throw that out the window. Second question, what's the most likely thing to happen? That's usually where typically it's that bell curve. Usually that's what happens. And then you ask, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then the way I make a decision is I say, if the most likely thing to happen will get me closer to my goals, and if I'm willing to deal with the worst that can happen, I'd go for it. But if the most likely thing doesn't get me close to my goal, why in the world am I even entertaining that? I need to do something else that has a greater chance of success.
Right. In marketing, we like another thing as being a marketer, I look at everything as a test. Like when we do a campaign, like I joke about this, people think I'm joking and just being funny. And I say, marketers never have failures because we only have tests. You know what I mean? So we think that this product is going to sell like crazy. We think this promotion is going to work, but until we actually collide it with a customer, until we get it out into the marketplace, until you try to sell it to someone, you don't know. You really don't know. So instead of getting all hung up on, I'm only going to do the things I know are going to work, you kind of say, well, I think it'll work. Let's put it out there. Let's test it. And let's try again. If it doesn't work, it does work. What do we learn? Test it again, change and test it again. Yeah. Which is, I think, what you're saying.
Well, yes, exactly. And what I'm really saying is, look, there are certain things called productive failures. And there's certain things called unproductive successes. So an unproductive success is when you succeed, but you have no idea why you succeeded. Therefore, you can't replicate it. You see a lot of people build a business, sells for a lot of money, try to do the second business, they fail. They did not chronicle how, when, and why they succeeded. On the other hand, a productive failure is when you mess up and you say, what happened? Let me analyze it. Let me make sure I don't make that mistake again. Let me make sure I am prepared for it. By the way, Robin, I'm looking at the chat room and we've got Jeff Johnson here. God bless you, Jeff. He says, Nido 100% recloses the audience. And I'm saying that as a paying parent customer for High Point. Let me look you up. Give me 1 second. Let me look you up, Jeff.
Oh, he makes a lot of money. I pay him. You should have charged him extra. Did you upsell him?
He's paying in full and he's paying on time. God bless you. When you die, you're going to make it straight to heaven.
Nita, I know at least a dozen of my customers for sending their kids to High Point, because I know that I've told my own girls, I said, if you want to go to any university, if you go to High Point, I will help you with the fees, the tuition, everything. Everywhere else, you're on your own. And I cut you off. Right? I've told them that, because you're going to go get messed up.
You're a great advocate, and I really appreciate it.
I am. I love it. I look, and I'm telling you, everybody who's out there, you ought to take a look at High Point. Nido, do you do any kind of if somebody just is watching this and maybe they have a little kid, or do you just offer tours that they could go sign up to do, or how do they learn?
We don't, because look, Robin, I've got 15,000 applications for my freshman class. I'm looking outside my window. I've got about 30 cars parked out there. These are all, and it's, 4:45 in the Eastern Seaboard here. By the way, it's 4:45, so it's 4:45 where you are. You're drinking wine. You've been drinking for 45 minutes. So you start about 2:30 in the afternoon. That should be illegal, really. But
I do my best work. I'm just getting warmed up. I'm about to do some.
So the demand is so high, we can't do that. But you know what, Robin? I'll tell you, it's man, life is what you make it, and I love what I do. I can't wait to come to work every day. And it is not the work where I've made money, as you well know. I was in businesses that were phenomenal. And, I turned down a position the other day, CEO of a big company. I don't even want to tell you how much they offered me. It's a huge amount of money annually.
You want to pass that on to me? I might be looking. I don't know.
It might be available. Yes,
it might be available.
Well,
you never know. If it's a lot of it, I'm not ashamed to say I can be bought.
And you'll do twice as well as I ever could.
No, I don't know about that. I'll fake it till I'll be on the speed dial with you saying, what do I do?
I assure you. But seriously, I think all of us on this day should look on the inside of ourselves and say, what are the things I'm blessed with?
True. Yeah.
What are the things I'm so grateful for? I remember that poem that says, forgive me, God, when I whine, for the world is mine. And they go through all this recitation. And I think I'm a really, really grateful person. I get up first thing in the morning, I put my feet on the ground and say, thank you, God, for another day. Now let's see what this day has for us. I come to campus, I sing first thing. I can't carry a tune like anything, but I'll come in, I'll go in one of our restaurants. We have 18 restaurants here. I'll go in the kitchen and I'll sing out loud. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a wonderful feeling. Everything is going my way. And what happens is everybody smiles and everybody's popped up and the culture begins to take place. But I feel it. It's real. It's real for me. One of my favorite songs is by a group called Eddie from Ohio. And the song is called Great Day. And it talks about the great day and that how, quit your whining and begin to look at the possibilities that lie ahead. Because it doesn't matter what the problems in your business are. It doesn't matter whether you've achieved all your goals or not. It doesn't matter if your last marketing, system worked or not. There's always tomorrow. There's always a new beginning. It's not the end of the world. And as long as we feel that way, then I think we could attack life with a different attitude. As you know, attitude is, I've been at your programs. I know the energy and the excitement that you create. It's about attitude. And it's, when my attitude is good, the world works pretty well. So we're all fortunate. All of us on this, podcast are fortunate. Doesn't matter how much money you have or how much you don't have. Make on a piece of paper, write all the things you're grateful for and see how much you got going for you.
I think what everybody should do out there is find a kid who needs to go to a university, sponsor them, and then go on the tour, because the money you're going to spend to send them to High Point University is the tuition. Like, it's like, because when Jeff's sending Ella to the university, I'm like, all right, you better be saving all the marketing. I want to know it all. Because my kids are too young, unless you're taking 11-year-olds, right? I want to, but I think, that in of itself, I can't encourage everybody out here, seriously. That's actually not a bad program. We should have it like sponsor a kid for marketers who just want to see what you guys do. And the tuition is they got to pay for that student to go to High Point, and they sponsor them, but they get all the marketing. I think that would be, that's
cool.
actually not a bad idea.
That'd be very, very cool.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
So you have a couple of questions there. You want us to answer them?
Yeah, Tito is saying it might be vague, but how do you lead people to have a growth mindset or commitment to their roles? So I'm guessing, he's a CEO, he's running a company.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I like that guy's name, Tito, Nido, Tito. Yeah. This guy's going to make it big in life.
He's a very cool guy. Yes.
Nobody will ever forget that name, right?
Right.
So Tito, look, the reality of it is that all of us have self-interest, all of us. Anybody who tells you that, I like employees who have self-interest, because if you buy a house and you got a big payment on the house and you want to work with me because you get the money to pay for the house, that self-interest works for me. That's a win-win relationship. The key in life is to understand that self-interest alone is not enough. What we must have is enlightened self-interest. And enlightened self-interest is different than self-interest, because enlightened self-interest says, if I can help you get what you want out of life, somehow, some way, I'll get what I want out of life. It's just one step removed. And so it takes a level of maturation to do that. So how do you get people to have a growth mindset? You enlighten them as to how they can get what they want out of life, whatever that is. So if I know that I'm a happy person, I'm a joyful human being. And so I know that I don't want to do any work that I hate, dislike. I don't want to work with people who, negative all the time. So then I'm willing to do whatever it is to get that. And the same thing here. Show people how their work, if they work with you and for you, show them how their work is a means to an end. It's a means to an end.
And how it matters too.
And how it matters in serving the world and making the world a better place. Exactly.
Yeah. It was really interesting. I was interviewing a guy yesterday. And, I was asked the candidate after I grilled him, I'm like, well, what questions do you have for me? And this actually, I'll give this guy credit. We're not hiring him, but I'll give him credit. I think it was the single best question somebody has ever asked me in an interview. And he said, what do you do to make your employees love working there? And I never had, think about that, so he's probably not a right fit but not a bad guy, just not a right fit. But the point is, I never had anybody ask me that question. It actually made me stop and think more beyond just answering that. My answer was I said, one of the things I think is you got to take out all the drama and bullshit that happened. Because like a lot of places you go into, people get exhausted from the politics and the bullshit and the this and the da. So like I said, it's like when I was watching the Olympics, so I was in a pizza place down in Franklin with my kids, and the Olympics was on, and and curling was, I don't know if you think it's Olympics. I think it's like a game. It's not a sport, but whatever. Yeah. Anyway, and the guy gets down and he shoots this big puck down, and there's these two guys that are there with these little brooms, and they're like sweeping to make sure it goes where it should go. And I said, that's a lot of, I think, as an owner, a CEO, a leader, you're letting your people do the work, and your job is to kind of be that sweeper to kind of get all the riffraff so they can actually do their job without all this bullshit and things that they got to do. So that's like number one. You got to take that away, all the angst and the bullshit and the politics and the drama and the favoritism and the, you can't say certain things around here. I think that's one. And then I think you also have to, like, to your point, is you have to have a mission and a vision that excites people. I mean, High Point University, I think the thing that you do for Nido, and for me, I know you've done it for me. I know you've done it for every client that I've brought to that university or had seen you speak, is you make people want to be a better person.
Yeah.
Like you do. I mean, automatically, like I'm sitting and listening to you. I've heard you talk so many times, and I think, you know what? I need to be a better, not that I need to be, I want to be. I want to be more grateful. I want to be more energetic. Look, I don't even let Mike talk. He's just sitting there drinking himself into an oblivion. And
it's a tough job, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah, he has to deal with me every day.
Yeah, because you know what, Robin? You know what? At the end of life, and we're all going to get there at some point, the only thing that's going to matter, not how much money we have, how many homes we have, how many awards we have. What's going to matter is who did we influence and how much impact we left behind. And the reason I love this work is because I believe I'm helping the future of this nation by ensuring that I'm planting seeds of greatness in the minds, hearts, and souls of these students. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing this work if all I wanted to do is make a lot of money. I know how to make a lot of money. But it is important to feel that you've done something to make the world better. And so I agree with you. We all want to feel that way. And the happiest people I've ever met, and like you, I've known so many successful people, so many people who have great means. I mean, really great means. I find many of them are not happy. They don't have joy in their heart. And because, remember that old song by Peggy Lee, Is That All There Is? Mm-hmm. So once you buy the biggest boat, then what? Once you fly in a nice jet, then what? So at the end of the day, you lay your head on the pillow at night and you're by yourself. It's you and your pillow. And you have to talk to yourself. And you have to say, it matters that I live because I've done those things. Now, that does not negate the desire to be successful, to make money, to be famous, if that's what some people want. I never cared about that. Zig Ziglar and I used to talk about this all the time, that he wanted to be known to a lot of people and that sold product and all that. I did the same thing differently. I appealed to a few corporate people and made just as much money, if not more. So each of us has his own style based on what matters to us, what's important to us. And I think at the end of it, we want to be happy. We want to get up in the morning happy. We want to feel happy. I know people who I went skiing last week with my family. I know people who go to the most expensive places to ski, but they're fighting all the time. They're not enjoying the process of why they're there. And so, look, that's philosophical, and each of us has our own opinion based on our upbringing and all of that. And I think the fact that I'm an immigrant has a lot to do with it. I have appreciation for this country. I know this country's history is filled with blemishes. This is not a perfect country. We have a lot of inequities in our society. I get all that. But as I say to our students, including our students of color, I say, learn from the past, but don't dwell there. You know, the past is a wonderful place to visit. It's a lousy place to live. You must have a future view of who you want to become, what you want to do. And Robin, you've known a lot of people, as I have, who have retired from a certain job, maybe age 60, and they walked away with $100 million. And they said, this is going to be great. I'm going to go play golf every day. Within 3 months, they're depressed. They're not feeling good, because fulfillment doesn't just come from, you know, buying things in the mall or going to Cartier and just buying more stuff. Fulfillment has to come from within. It is born with a sense of stewardship. At the end of the day, I want to be a steward. I want to be someone who I've used my life and all of the attributes of my life, whether it's my connections or my skills or my intelligence or my experience or my money, to make good things happen. Well, next time you come to High Point, I want you to see this museum that my wife and I built. It's cost about $40 million, a children's museum. We gave a major lead gift, and I got my friends to give me, you know, $1 million at a time. Fundraising comes easily to me. It's not. Fundraising is based on trust. You'll give money to someone you trust, and on records, you know, that you've done in the past what you said you're going to do. And I teach people, I say, nobody wants to give you their money. It's hard-earned money. They want to invest it with you.
Right.
Even in charitable causes, they want to invest it with you, and they want to see the results of it. So, you know, what a pleasure to talk with you, Robin. I am in love with you. If I wasn't married and you weren't married, I'd be working this thing like crazy. I can't afford you. I'll tell you that.
Well, there is that. Yeah.
But I'm in love with you for a different reason. It's my respect for your intellect and my enormous admiration for how many people you've helped in life. I have watched you, Robin. I have watched you time and again. You are an authentic human being. You're built from the inside out. And yet you're a go-getter, make it happen, take no prisoners kind of human being. You're a tremendous hero model and mentor to so many people. And I hope you'll write a book. I hope you'll do something so other people can tap into your genius about building a business. You built a business, and you did it in spite of a lot of adversity in your life. And that's an achievement of the highest order.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, coming from you, I sincerely appreciate that. And it means a lot. And yeah, so I mean, so Nido, on that, but do we have other questions? I know we got to be careful. We're like at the top of the hour. Do you want to take these questions real
sure.
quick?
No, sure.
Real quick. All right. So we went from this big gratitude. I think people get the big picture, and then it always comes down to the tactics there. You know, I remember asking you one time, because I was sitting in your office there. And I'm walking around, I'm like, all right, I get everything you're saying. But when I walk around, how do you get people to execute? Like, I wanted the details. And I remember you kind of taking your glasses off and laughing a little bit. And, you know, because it does come down to that, I think, for a lot of people, like Manny is saying, like, how do we find out what our target market wants? And to answer that, I think one of the things I'd like to ask you is let's go back to when you took over High Point University back in 2005, right? And there was, deferred maintenance. There was no marketing, there was no systems, there's no reputation, there's all. What did you do to learn your market? I believe you actually did you started doing the tours and selling I believe. Talk a little
that's
bit.
Correct. No, that's correct.
Okay. Talk about that. How did you learn your target market?
Yeah, well, I think number one is you have to ask yourself, what is it you're bringing to the market? Mm-hmm. What are you trying to sell? And the second question is, who in the world would value that? The third question is, where are these people? Right? These are the large questions. This is what I call telescopic questions. Now you can microscopically break them down. So when you say, well, I think doctors and dentists, or I think any company that uses IT, or I think, whatever, then you microscopically say, well, where are they? What inner circles do they hang around? What publications do they read? Who are the people when they need the service? Where do they go? And you begin in this funnel, and you begin to sort of come down like this till you find them. So, for example, I decided that I needed some families to send their kids here, families who can give us a lot of money, because the only way I can help people who don't have money to get scholarships and so on is to find people who have money, who can pay the full tuition and then give me a lot of money. So I did, unusual things. You have to be daring in business. You can't have your little light under a bushel and expect to light up a stadium. It doesn't work that way. So for me, I said, those people fly private airplanes. So I'm going to go to every FBO in the country and say, can I put my magazine with these other magazines that you have? You have Worth Magazine and Travel and Leisure. I want to put Hyper University Magazine. And they looked at me and said, we don't put the Hyper, University Magazine. I said, why don't you? And aren't these racks a way to garner revenue for you? I'm going to pay you for it. So I convinced them to do that. So I'm the only university in the country that you go to any FBO and you see Hyper University Magazine. And guess who appreciates that? The person flying on a jet, private jet, goes, I need to look into this school. This kind of thinking is amazing. And I want for my kid this kind of thinking. This is what I want. I want my kid to be enterprising, successful, and so on. I went to the to the business journals. And I said, can I put my magazine with your journal? And then you can put this plastic around. And they said, we can't do that. I said, why can't you? And, I'm going to pay you for it. You're in the business of making money. Well, but people might think we're endorsing your school. I said, why do you think people are stupid? They don't think that. They know that we paid you to put it. So now I'm in 38 journals in the country twice a year. So I think what we have to do in business is never listen to the common advice. Here's an example of common advice. Think outside the box. That's the dumbest thing anybody could ever say. Think outside the box. Well, listen, you're still looking at the box as the fixed source of your thinking. You're not going to beat the other guy by thinking outside the box. You need to throw the box outside the window.
Yeah, stop trying to mimic everything, because that's what everyone does. They go into the market, they look around at what everybody else is doing. They kind of take a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and they cobble something together. And it's like I say, you know what you end up with? Applebee's. You're just like, yeah. No, Applebee's will never sponsor my events because I use them as the example. But that's okay. I don't think they're writing me a check. But I think you're right. And I think, like, Manny, you're asking that question. I think some of it, like, I think what Dr. Qubein has done, even what I've done, even without really even thinking about it, is if you think about it, if you were that customer, what would you want? Like, what I created, I've often said this, and it really didn't occur to me until just hearing you say, when I started my business, there was no place that I could go where I could have like-minded people sharing real numbers, being real, because everything was like bullshit, especially in the marketing world, Nido. I mean, it's like, honest to God, you can't get everybody's, doing amazing. And they've got, the private jet parked outside and the mansion on the hill. And they sit on a stack of money, that's it's like, it's all just, there's so much fake. You can't get anything real. And I said, I want to build something that's real. And that's where our logo came, keep it real. It's like, I want people who want to, contribute and build a real business with real good customer service, with good people, and, just solid. So I think, I would also say, everybody kind of thinks like they have to manufacture something out. It's just, if you think to yourself, if I were the customer, what would I want? And I think that's like, if you need, I think you build a university that you would be proud to send your kids to, right?
Yes.
So I think
the question is, to answer the question about finding a marketing finding a market, I think you can't say think outside the box. You have to throw the box outside the window. You have to have zero-based thinking. You have to ask the question, if I were building this business from scratch and I had no limitations on my resources, time, energy, money, expertise, what would it look like? What would it look like? And then back away and say, how can I do that? Or which pieces of that can I do? So I don't think what is there, and let me just improve on it, because that's Applebee's, as you said. But rather I say, if I know what these people want, how can I create something that gives them what they want? So as America goes more and more to the left, to be frank about it, and as more and more presidents can't say the word God, as more and more people are not willing to salute the flag, I took what is genuine for us and said, this is who we are. And I found there's a silent majority out there that's dying to find a school like ours. And not only pay to send their kids, but to give me millions of dollars to propagate what we are doing. And yet we're not, the most conservative or the most evangelical. That's not who we are. We're a centrist school. But we dare to say, this is not a political comment. This is a values comment. I appreciate my country. I love my family. I believe in my creator. These are not, crazy ideas.
It's like today, though, they're radical. Like you cannot say, I believe in God or I salute the flag. You're right. I think there is definitely a movement where there's a lot of silent people who are afraid to even say it because they get beat up, knocked down. I mean, Nita, look at this. Like, you see this hat here, example. So Mike gave me this hat. It's a Bubba Gump shrimp, right? And I keep it back here. It's probably one of my prized possessions, Mike. You don't even know this.
Oh, there you go.
But when the pandemic hit, and everything was being burned down to the ground. Our event was 3 weeks out, our biggest event. We spent $2 million to put this event on, right? And it was sponsored. We had contracts, we had people lined up. We had to shut it all down. And for small business, I mean, we refunded nearly $1 million. And I was able to cash flow that out. I didn't owe anybody money. Yeah. I was able to refund all that, make good on all of my promises. And not only that, but we turned it into a virtual event. And if you remember the Forrest Gump movie, the one scene with the Bubba Gump shrimp, they're failing.
Yes,
Then the big storm hits because he says, that Lieutenant Dan says, "Where's your God now?" And he said, God showed up and it wiped out all the shrimping boats. And I said, we're the Bubba Gump shrimp. Like, I kept saying that we're shrimping people now because we're the only boat. We're going to go ahead. We're going to do virtual events. We're not slowing down. But even this, as simple as this hat is, and that's what that means to me. I have had people on videos like this, look back there and think it's a Make America Great Again, just because it's red.
Yes.
And the vitriol and the hatred and the statements, it's like, I mean, even if it wasn't Making America Great Again, it's sad.
So one of my friends, Robin, is a guy called Daniel Lubitsky. You may not know the name, but he's the guy who started the company Kind Snacks, all the Kind
The
snacks
Kind bars.
now.
Yeah. Yep.
Kind bars. Yeah, he just sold a little piece of the business to Mars, the British company that makes M&Ms and so on. For 1.4 billion. He still owns the majority of the company. I happen to serve on his board, on his philanthropic board, and he's got some of the greatest, unbelievable people on that group. And he put millions of dollars in it. And he said, I just want the world to be more civil. I asked him, why did you call it kind? I want people to be more kinder, more accepted. So we talk about diversity and inclusion, but only if it fits our own definition.
Right.
So we don't want diverse thoughts, and we don't want to include everybody in our circle if they're different than we are. And that makes no sense to me. So as I said earlier, I respect every individual, but I evaluate the relationship. Sometimes I respect this person, but my evaluation of the relationship is minimal. So I'm not going to spend much time with them. I'm not going to, so on. So I it's like your example of the hat. I think it's silly that some people don't like, the American flag. Actually, I got two of them, one to my right, one to my left. And every single place on campus here where I speak, there's American flag. But for me, I'm an immigrant. I came to this country. This country gave me an opportunity. So that's what I believe. And those who accept it, fine. And those who don't accept it, I respect them. I just don't want to do that. I do it my way. And I found, Robin, when you stand for what you believe, there will be some who disagree with you. There will be many who will cheer you on. Mm-hmm. And it's your choice. Do you want to focus on the few who critique you, or do you want to focus on the many who agree with you? Sometimes silently so, but they agree with you. And you and I have spoken on many platforms. I learned a long time ago, there are 1,000 people in the audience. Not every one of them is going to love me. Some of them are not going to like something I said. And if I can't take that, I shouldn't be on the platform. But if I'm on the platform, I'm going to be respectful. And if you disagree with me, I respect that. But I told you what my view is and what I believe in, or teach me to change my view. Coach me why I am wrong. But our society right now, geopolitically, is just crazy. And You know, we're against each other. We're all doing like this instead of cooperating and pulling together and building better tomorrows for the future of our nation.
Right, right. I hear you. And I think, I don't know, we live in weird times, but I think social media, this whole concept of being able to
Yes.
just to post your thoughts out there, I don't think we really know what the impact it's having. And there are people who are definitely using it to divide people because that creates
Yes.
profit for them and their businesses, you know, so it is interesting times.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to do this. I know that we're over the time, and I want to be respectful because we said 60 minutes, and you're always generous, always. Is there, you know, and I'm kind of, Izzy kind of asked this question, you know, like you mentioned successful people and they have something in common and what the factors are. So I don't know. I mean, I think we did cover that. Is there anything, like if there was one message you wanted to leave with people, what would be that message? Not to put any pressure on you, because like make it good, but you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, I would say that in life, whatever pursuit you follow in life, you must be committed to it. You can't just give it lip service. Yeah, look at an athlete. You know, Michael Jordan, when he was with the Bulls, he'll practice for 3 hours, and then when everybody left complaining about the long practice, he stayed on the foul shot line, 30 minutes shooting the foul shot, practicing. So commitment is different than making a decision. You make a decision with your brain, logical, methodical, pragmatic process for decision making. You make a commitment with your heart. That's why commitments are longer lasting. That's why commitments are harder to break. So I say to someone, you want to start this business and you want to build it? How committed are you? Or do you just make a decision, I'd like to make some money, I see an opportunity, I see something I can pursue. You really have to be committed, which means through thick and thin, you have to be right there on the front line. And most people, Robin, don't do that. Most people tell you I'm committed, but not really. Their commitment is very, very shallow. Now, I'm not suggesting be committed foolishly. There are times when you have to measure things and say, this is not working, I'm going to move from this to this. Of course, this is logic and this is normal. But I've never gotten into anything when I didn't really give it my all. When I go on the platform to speak, first thing I say to myself, that meeting planner, that boss of that company, that boss lady, entrusted me with her people. Are you kidding? She gave me her people for an hour, and I better be committed to this hour. I better give them everything I've got, the best I can. If I'm running a university, I have to be committed. I can't say I'm going to work 8 to 5 and that's it. You know, I'm going to take a month vacation in June and don't call me. Commitment means, man, I'm in. I'm inside the circle doing the work. I'm not outside the circle watching what's going on the inside. So if I've observed one quality that people have, whether they talk about it or not, you're an example of that, Robin. They're totally committed. They're in it to make it happen. And that, I think, is a very, very important quality for success. Now, of course, there are other qualities. You got to be informed and skilled and good with people. You know, the 5 capitals we all have to worry about. One is financial capital. One is educational. One is relational. One is physical, taking care of yourself. One is reputational. But the most important of those, I mean, they're all important. The most important is relational capital, because it's the people you know. The better your circle of influence and the bigger it is, the smaller your circle of concern is. You have less to worry about because you have a cadre of people in your circle of influence to propel you forward and to help you in life. But you have to be committed to those people. You can't just take. You have to give, and you build those relationships. And then when you need them, they jump up and down to help you because they feel the love, you know? So I think that's, to me, in my life, that's been the most important thing is, am I committed to this cause? When I lead a nonprofit of some sort, am I committed to this cause? If I'm not, you know, lots of people call me, Robin, and all these nonprofits want to raise money, so they honor you, so they can call all your friends and get them to give money and all that. I always turn those things down because I say, if I'm not committed to that, and I'm just showing up to get an award, I don't need this award. I say to them, I'd rather just give you write you a check, but I'm not really committed to that. I'm going to be fake that night, acting like I'm getting this award, you know. So it's ironic, if you look at my office, You will not see certificates and all that. I've gotten hundreds of them over the years, but you'll see little things. People gave me things like crystal, awards or gifts, whatever. I display those because I love crystal. Back here, you can even see I got some really major awards here they're in my closet behind the thing. They're a reminder of I've done a few things in my life. But what really matters is when I get those cards and emails every day. And someone says, you touch my heart, you changed my life. You taught me this lesson. That's the greatest of all things. And someday I hope and I pray that I can afford to buy Opus and drink it on a Friday afternoon at 3:00. But I am committed to get to that level of success sooner, if not later.
I think you should, you should try a little harder. I don't think you're trying hard enough. I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, he's close.
He'll get there.
You're almost there.
I see something in him.
Yeah.
Mike, is that shirt of yours, does it say Rolls Royce or Robin Robbins? What does it say?
Hey, aren't they synonymous?
Yeah.
So
You got to have the logo. You got to get that there.
Yeah.
Keeping it real. That's what we're doing here. So, all right. Well, very good. Thank you, Nido. I want to wrap up with you again. You've been so generous. You've inspired so many. And, I just thank you seems such a, I don't know, it doesn't even seem to begin to scratch the surface. I know there's more people than just on the Zoom. I mean, there's people watching us on YouTube and Facebook, and, we're streaming this on a couple different platforms because people listen to it differently. And I know that they feel the same way that I do. And so thank you. And we raise a glass. Cheers to you. Good bottle of Opus One, which is not cheap, which,
I know how much it costs. Believe me, I know how much it costs.
So cheers to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you've done for me, for so many. As you can see, people are saying, thank you. We love you. And we are looking forward to seeing you in October with my group. We'll bring about, 300, 400 people. So it'll be interesting.
I look forward to it, Robin. Thank you for inviting me to be with you today. It's always a privilege to be in your domain, and may God bless you, and may you continue to help so many people and plant seeds of greatness wherever you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Mike. Thank you,
thanks,
Nido.
guys.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye now.